Welcome back inside the Crazy Ant Farm. I'm just going to say Becca, and, because this is your 13th time. There's nobody doesn't know who you are at this point. You have taken forever guest hardcore. You have to, just raise the mantle. 13 times. 13 times. We are so blessed.
To have you back.
Well, how can we not keep having you back? You're just an amazing guest every time. And you've just been, we talk about it all the time, how you've been there from the get-go, from the very beginning. And it's just, it's amazing. And we love you. And we're so happy to.
Supporting again.
Yes.
Woo! Love it so much.
That's some great looking merch. At this point, you're just a member of the team. You're part of the family. It's like forever guest / part of the family. It's just crazy. But as everybody knows, we are super excited because we are having you on to talk about, because we talked about last time you were on, Los Angeles, the film. Yes. It's out. Yes. Everybody can finally see it now. And we are super pumped. We have indeed seen it. And we want to talk about it.
For anyone that hasn't seen it.
Yes.
And Google Play as well.
Oh, and Google Play. Okay, good to know. You don't hear that very often anymore, Google Play. So that's cool.
Yeah, I've been pushing Amazon more because that's what people know.
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, okay. So let's just dive right in. First of all, if anybody is and we talk about it all the time on the podcast, right? Remakes, reboots, redos, blah, 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 right? Yeah. This is original. If you are looking for an original story, an original film, it's not being rebooted, remade, or revived from anything, this is great, right? Because I think so many people are looking for that original content from original creators and have an opportunity to see that stuff. Talk about that a little bit and how it all came about, because it's fantastic.
Oh, thank you so much. First of all, thank you for watching. We really appreciate the support. Indie film, it's can be tough to get out there sometimes.
It can be.
Anyone that watches it and pushes it, we really appreciate it. I knew the casting director, Kelly. He reached out to me. He was like, I have this script. It's original. I think it's brilliant. I think you would love it. Will you read it and possibly audition? And so I read it and I was like, I instantly fell in love with Jojo. I thought she was just extraordinary, and just her heart is so pure, and she just, changes everyone she meets. And I was like, I would love to audition for this. I've not yet read or auditioned for a character like her. And so I remember normally sometimes I rehearse with my husband, he'll not rehearse, but he'll read the lines with me, but not much anymore. That was when I first started. So now I kind of just do my own thing. But for this, because, if you haven't seen it yet, she's mute in the film. And so in the sides, I had to do one of the scenes, and I was like, I need to rehearse this because I don't exactly know what I'm doing, and I can't just go in there and there's no lines just to say. So I remember rehearsing with him, and he was like, what a strange film. I have no idea. No. And I went and auditioned. And then that was it. They offered me the role. And it was a pretty quick, I think, process from when I auditioned to booking it. And so I played, like I said, I played Jojo, who is a mute by choice. And she goes on this journey with an escaped convict. So it was a lot of fun to work on, and that's kind of how I got involved.
Okay, yeah. I'm racking my brains. That must have been hilarious to show the husband and go, no, check this out. I need your help. Because, and plus, how many times as script writers or creators, do you get that feedback about this is over descriptive? Well, when there's no dialogue, has to be pretty damn descriptive. What is she doing, right? What is Jojo doing? So, we have so many questions about Jojo.
Yeah.
Because there's this supernatural kind of vibe to her, or this magical vibe to her, or this religious vibe to her, and everybody's fallen in love with her, and it's kind of what's the juju that Jojo's got, right? What's making everybody?
I would love to know myself.
So you don't know. So even it's kind of that mystery about why is that the case, right?
It still makes me laugh every time I I see the montage of the people that are like, I left my wife. Like, I'm leaving my wife for her. You just don't know, like, what it's like to be, every time I watch it, I still laugh because it's, at first, when we first screened it, people were probably like, wait, what? Like, that's weird. Like, how, that's not possible. But then as you watch it, you're like, oh, I totally see why. Maybe not how, but you see why people would just be totally enamored with her.
Right.
Because she's just interesting, captivating person that you instantly are just like drawn to, like, what, you want to be around her. I would, she's someone I would love to meet and be around her as a real person if I could. Because she just is like a unicorn, basically, I think.
Definitely. And I mean, when I was watching it, it kind of brought me back because, like, some aspects of it, it kind of reminded me of Pulp Fiction. Like, what's in the little box? What's in the suitcase? Like, that is driving everybody crazy, that makes everybody fall in love. And I thought it was also an interesting perspective to have her do, like, charades trying to talk to people instead of doing ASL. Do you know the story behind that? Why they chose that route besides ASL?
Yeah, so Mitch, it kind of says in the beginning of the film that my dad tried to teach me,
right,
and I wouldn't have it, and so we came up with my own sign language. Jojo did.
Yeah.
So you see some of that with people that understand her, like her dad. For others, she does have to go more the charade route. Mitch, the director, wanted to avoid that as much as possible when it was people that she knew or knew her, or when it was questions like Cash was asking her, like, where are you from? Like her explaining it, and he's like, wait, I don't know what that means.
Right.
Versus like, spelling everything out or acting everything out. Like the bar scene, when she's asking for the drink.
Oh my gosh, that's so good.
Yeah.
That was the first scene we filmed ever in the movie. And I at the moment I was like, oh, I feel like this is too much. Like, I don't, because I didn't want to, be miming her. Like that was a very conscious thing for me, was like not going over the top and just trusting that whatever I was thinking would come through. So yeah, that was his choice in the film. And then when we met before we started shooting, the director and I, and we came up with, or he let me pretty much come up with the signs for different things that I would basically make up that wouldn't be wouldn't be charades, wouldn't be what people would necessarily understand. But whoever she's with might.
Right, exactly. And I mean, you brought up that bar scene. I mean, that was probably my favorite scene in the whole entire film. When the two guys are just like so captivated and like so interested in what she's trying to do, but the guy still has him like in his hand, still joking about. I thought that was absolutely hilarious.
I mean, outstanding. And like, I think that maybe Jojo was having no part of ASL because, like you said at the top of this, she's mute by choice, right? She's not deaf. She can understand. She can talk, and so she's like having no part of that because in her mind she's like, I don't need that because this is just who I am. This is me. I don't need all that. I'm gonna be this, and so it's interesting to see like where maybe she's coming from. Like, no, I don't need that. I'm good. I'll make my own stuff up. Right. And the other thing that kept popping out at me, and I don't know, maybe it's just your faces or like just however it is, but like every time she was done doing the deed and she would just kind of pop up,
like all
just
giddy.
like she just takes pure joy in the fact that maybe she just made somebody happy. Like you could just kind of see that for her, it isn't about the sex. It isn't about what's going on. It's about, I did something to make somebody happy, and I'm helping this guy, and I'm doing all these. And I just love the betrayal of the face. It's like, yep, just did that, and that's another one. Yeah, it's just hilarious. Talk about that a little bit, like. I don't even know, like, how do you discuss with the director? How do you kind of do, like I know as directors, we've got plenty of ideas of how we would have approached that, but like. Right. When you know that this is basically what she's doing and what's kind of going on, how did you guys approach that to make it kind of quirky and fun like that and not more over the top, like she's being used by him and she's like now, he's basically pimping her out or whatever. Talk about that process a little bit because it did come across more fun and quirky as opposed to the more deep and dark aspect of it.
Which it should. It's not meant to be the other. So I'm glad you said that. Yeah, we were very aware of that. And so, part of Jojo and making it not seem like she was being abused was how confident and happy she was in the process of this. It could have easily gone the other way very quickly, and that's not the story, and that's not this story. So I didn't want anyone watching to be like, oh gosh, like I feel so bad for her.
Right.
She's this is a choice she's making, and you never see the deed, right?
Exactly.
Right.
You never actually know what is actually happening behind the closed doors.
Maybe she's just showing some angels. We don't know.
That's left up to your interpretation whether or not they're actually having sex or not. Maybe they're not. That's left up to the audience to decide.
That's right.
But yeah, it was definitely a very conscious choice of making her very confident in herself, so that she didn't appear as a victim, because she definitely was not at any point, which makes, her different from other characters I've played. You mentioned, the sign language by choice, which is interesting because for me, you're absolutely right. And also coming from the aspect of a lot of things in her life she couldn't control, like being abandoned as a baby. And so these are things in her life that she can control. And so when you find things that you can, you want to be able to feel in control of some aspects of your life.
Absolutely.
So that's also ties in with the men, ties in with the sign language, ties in with all of that kind of coming together.
That's right.
Definitely.
And woman.
Exactly.
I can't leave her out.
Exactly.
I have to say, all of the actors were just so amazing.
Yeah.
So amazing to work with. We filmed up in Merced, which is like 4.5 hours from LA. And so a lot of those smaller roles that she was meeting along the way were from actors from up there.
Nice.
And they were just all just fantastic and just lovely. And I want to give a huge shout out to them because they just made those roles really stand out, I feel like.
For sure. And something else that I really enjoyed about the film was Jojo being comfortable in her own skin, because she is weird, she is quirky, but she doesn't ever change for anyone else. Like, she loves her suspenders and she loves that white shirt. She's not wearing that damn dress.
Yeah,
okay?
no, that was so funny.
So I love that. I think people should see this film so that they can see we can just be okay with being ourselves, and we don't have to change for what society thinks we should be. So I think this is an important film to show that and for people to relate to that as well.
Oh yeah, I love that. Yeah, she's so unapologetic.
Exactly.
People always like, oh, what can you take away from her? And it's like, I wish I was more like that, where you just didn't care. Like, she just does not care what other people think about her, because she knows who she is, and this is what you get. And people love her anyway, and that's what's so fantastic.
Exactly.
But every now and then she maybe cares a little bit, because she was kind of pissed and locked him out of the car.
Yeah.
Right. She's like, I'm in charge and I don't like what you just said to me, and I'm locking you out of the car, and I don't care how it's cold. I don't care. You're staying out there. I do like that every now and then she has to remind people, no, I'm in full control.
Yeah.
I've got this situation.
And it's an interesting scene because in that interim, he really realizes what he's doing,
right,
and how he's acting, and he makes a turn in that. So there's just so many things about her that just the choices that she makes really impact the other characters and the trajectory and journey of the film so much. It's interesting.
Okay, and so I'm trying to figure out how I can craft this without spoiling.
I know that's the hard thing about it.
Right. So
don't give away.
I'm just gonna ask it like this, and you can kind of figure out how you're going to answer it without spoiling. Were you aware of the ending? Prior to, or was that a surprise to you too? Like this whole journey, we know what the mission is, but then there's this surprise twist kind of a thing. Did you know? I mean, obviously reading the script, you kind of know what's coming, but
okay, you mean did Jojo know?
Did Jojo know? Yes. No. Okay. No. So it was totally, she just thinks this whole time what her mission was that mission as well. She had no idea.
Yeah, she was, which is an amazing part of the film, I think, for her, is going on faith.
Yeah.
Not knowing what the end will be and just trusting the journey.
Interesting.
Yeah. Now Mitch may have a different point of view, but we didn't actually discuss that, but I chose that as my own that I would not know, because I think that was way more impactful for me playing her, not knowing that there was any end result at all.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you knew, oh, I know at the end that this is going to happen, then you're going to go. But if you go not knowing, that is what faith is, right? Just stepping out and taking that risk that nothing may happen at the end, which is, I think, such a beautiful part of the journey.
Absolutely. And well done without spoiling anything.
Right?
Yeah, because that's, if you give away the ending, it loses its impact for sure.
Sure.
I think.
Definitely. And I also love that it shows that you can make friends in the most strange places. Like, you could literally just meet somebody if you're having a bad day, or if you're on this journey and you meet somebody along the way, they might turn out to be a lifelong friend, or someone who you can share just an impactful memory with in that specific time of your life. And I think that's very important, to not take every day for granted, and just live for the moment and live for today, because you don't know what's going to happen tomorrow, and you don't know what's going to happen in the future. So make the most of your time right now. And I think that's very important in the time we live in. So again, just another thing about this film that everybody can relate to, and that everybody should watch because they can relate to it so much.
And I love that she picks people along the way, like Cash, that are considered, would consider to be broken,
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
A lot of his life in jail. He's broken out of prison. He's not someone that you would necessarily pick to hang out with.
Right. Yeah.
But yeah, that's who she is sent with. And, a huge shout out to Tony, the actor, because he's incredible. I think he played a really brilliant foil to her, so that they were very different, yet they worked very well together. As a team, and people I would personally want to see more of, like, later, like, could they go on another adventure together?
Right.
Sure. And well, yeah, we have thoughts on that, but we can't say. I will say, though, there was another scene, and I guess a couple of scenes actually that stick out, like when he leaves and she just stays, and because she, like, Faith, he's going to come back. That this is just like, he's not gone. He's going to be fine. I'm not going to leave from this place because he's coming back. So that one, but then the one that really kind of stuck out to me, because it was both physical and like metaphorical, the attachment. When she's clinging to his legs and won't let go. You know, you're both physically and metaphorically. I thought that scene was really well done also, and yet still quirky. Like it's so powerful and so emotional, and yet JoJo's still got that little quirk to her. Like, and I think that's my favorite part throughout, is because we talk about this all the time, how difficult it is to deliver a performance without saying a word. And so you have to really kind of figure out, what am I going to do to convey this character and make people attack. And I think the quirkiness just works. She's so endearing, and so you can't help but laugh and love her. Like, so it just works that way.
Thank you. I appreciate that, because that was definitely like a thought, was you don't want to come across like annoying, I guess, is the thing, and you want to be endearing and not like one of those characters you're like, oh God. So I appreciate that, and that's also a testament to Mitch, who wrote the film as well as directed, because he wrote a really fantastic character. That was not easy, but was it was a joy to step into. I guess I shouldn't say easy, because she wasn't, but she was definitely a joy to get to play around with those quirks and what makes her tick differently than other people, maybe.
I love that. Now, both of you guys, humor me for a second, because this thought just popped into my head, and I'm thinking about it as a whole. What if JoJo is Jesus? Now, stick with me here. Stick with me.
I'm with you.
Okay, she surrounds herself with the sinners. Basically, everyone she comes in contact with, she tries to change their life for the better and for the good, and make sure that she leaves an impact on their life to try to change how they're approaching things and how they approach life in general. And at the end, just stuff happens, So I don't know, just something that popped in my head. I don't know if the writer was thinking that way, but what if you played the new Alanis Morissette from Dogma and you are now Jesus?
Right? I mean, because it's true, because all of the people that she kind of comes in contact to in one way or another are broken and or have these things, and she basically absolves them of that, and so I mean, well, and maybe they're all in love with her and they all have these crazy things, because it's like when so often you hear about when you see the face of God, right? Like maybe that's the moment. Maybe they're like, oh, I've seen the face of God, and like I can't help but love her.
Yeah, exactly.
There's a lot of room for interpretation for a lot of the things I like that Mitch didn't spoon feed everything.
Right.
Answer necessarily everything and let you kind of make your own assessment, because you have said different things than a different interview I did, saw different things, so that's great, because then different people see different things, and I like that it's not like, well, here's all the answers and you don't have to think for yourself.
And that's how a film becomes successful, because people watch it and they start talking about it, and they talk about it and like, well, no, wait, I didn't catch that. Oh, wait, what? No, I didn't think about it. And that's how word of buzz generates, and that's why people want to watch it. So that's an excellent, thing that's how it is. And just, the whole, I guess it goes back to the faith question about, are the angels real? Is she talking to herself in her head?
Right.
Like, what is going on? But
does she have schizophrenia?
right. So it's just the whole thing. I mean, I want to just come back to the scope of, now that we've kind of talked about the plot and the characters and your performance and everything. I just want to talk about the scope of the actual filmmaking, right? Because indie films are not easy to do. Low budget films are not easy to do. Like you said, they're hard to get seen out there, kind of a thing. So to see something so original and so creative, and to find a platform and get out there and have people talk like we're talking, talk about that and like the process of, because you've been involved in some really high end big, and then you follow through with these indie projects with indie creators and stuff like that. Talk about a little bit of the filmmaking aspect and the differences in that for you.
Yeah, I mean, the main differences are, like, for me, it's like, okay, maybe you won't have a trailer.
Right.
And you may not have a chair with your name on it.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, those are usually, maybe catering is not as plentiful as far as like a buffet or whatever. That's usually the main differences. And maybe maybe you don't have as much time. Because they're on a tighter schedule. We didn't have 3 months to shoot this. We shot this in like 3 weeks. So you don't necessarily get 15 takes to get it right. You kind of gotta, which I'm gotten used to doing TV. We've talked about this before. You don't get a lot of takes with that either. So I feel like they kind of go hand in hand. It's like it's prepared. Doing indie film kind of prepared me for TV, and then doing TV kind of reminded me how to do this. So, I mean, those are the main differences for me, but, it's interesting because when you don't have the luxuries of things that you get on a bigger set, you sometimes feed your character really well, which is nice. Mitch talks about, it was hot. We filmed in July, and Merced is even hotter than it is in LA.
Yeah.
And so there were the scene you brought up, the one where I kick him out of the car, and then the next morning, it was probably 1,000 degrees in that car. And that's like one of the reasons. It's funny because it's like one of the reasons we had to roll down the window, because I was like, I can't breathe.
Yeah.
We're gonna have to like roll these windows down. But it's interesting because I'm like sweating, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm gonna look bad. Like, I'm like, am I all red? Like, what's happening? But then something about that just like feeds into whatever is happening in the scene. Like, she would be hot, she would be sweaty, she would be tired. Because I didn't just get to come from a trailer where I was cool and like refreshed. Not that there's anything wrong with that, because I do like that as well. But there is something interesting about that process that reminds you kind of why you're doing what you love to do, if that makes sense. And, obviously you need to be comfortable. They were very aware and like, had cars running with air and would whisk me off to those when it was too hot. Like, they don't want you to like, die.
Right.
there's certain things they just can't do with the budget, and that's
Sure.
and I know that going in, and I like, this is his first feature. I like helping tell these stories. I like helping bringing these stories to life that are interesting. Like you said, I've never read something like this before, so I was like, if I can be a part of this, that's amazing. I didn't know how it would turn out. I love, like you're talking about the moments where you see kind of what they saw when they heard the music, like the beach, and the detective sees his little girl and things like that. It's like I wasn't there for any of that. So when I got to see the film, I'm like, oh my gosh, that's why I do what I do, is to help tell these, beautiful stories the best that I can. And when I come across something that's really unique, I want to be a part of it. So I don't know if that answers your question at all.
No, totally. Yeah.
But
totally. And I feel like, sometimes that's where you find these, right? The indie films. You find these unique stories or these different stories. And I think as artists, as creators, as an actor or directors or what, it's all about taking chances, right? Sometimes you have to take chances and say, hey, this is a little quirky, or this is kind of out there. I haven't seen this before, but I'm going to take a chance on this because this is something that, could work. Sometimes they don't, but sometimes they do. And, if you don't take those chances, you don't creatively grow. So it's so important, and it's always nice too, because you're very humble and you're very, it's like, I have been in big trailers and a nice craft services and kind of stuff, but I'm still going to do this little budget where they have to whisk me off to the car. And, and so I think that's important, that you don't forget that that's how it is. And, because you're an artist, and sometimes artists are whisked to cars and not in big trailers. And, we love that you are like that and continue to be like that, even with the success that you've seen. So
thank you. Yeah. And, I'm aware, like, there are people that won't like this, and that's totally fine, right? Like, that's, like you said, you take a risk on big projects that people don't like. So it's kind of always a risk on anything you do. As long as you like it and put your best work forward, that's really all we can do. And then hope that it will find the people that did like it.
That's right.
Exactly, man. Exactly. Well, listen, thank you so much for coming on the show and getting a little crazy with us. As always, we appreciate you so damn much, and we're so excited.
Well, thank you guys for watching the film and promoting it and having me on. It just means so much.
Of course. We got your back. We got your back. Oh, my goodness. Well, be sure to tell everybody where to follow you if they're not already, and if you're not one of our listeners that are following her, what the hell?
We might have some new listeners.
If it's your first time listening, I can be found on Instagram at Becca, BEKAHK, and then on Twitter at Rebekah Kennedy, REBKAH. And if you haven't seen it yet, Los Angeles can be found on Amazon. You can rent it for like $2 or buy it for $10. And if you love it, please leave a review, because those always help. I'm excited to be back maybe for Two Witches when that comes out.
Well, of course, that's a given.
Come on now.
The very different, the horrible different side of me.
Yeah, right. And hey, for anybody who caught the IG live or whatever, we're totally working. We serial killer. We're totally down. We can make that a comedy and or a drama. Like, I think either or would work. Maybe we'll do two different versions. Right. You guys can be comedic couple serial killers, or you can be very dramatic and serious, and we'll figure out. I don't know. But either way, I want to see the two of you, Jared Becker, we're talking about, of course, as a couple serial killers. There's
a lot of room for fun.
Oh, yeah.
Maybe it's a dramedy. Maybe it's dark and serious, but it's also funny as shit. I mean, who knows, right?
Yeah.
Oh, my goodness. Well, listen, take care. Thank you again so much.
Again for having me.
Of course. Happy holidays. We hope you enjoy it with the hubby. It's going to be phenomenal. And we'll probably send you a Christmas shirt here soon, so you can get it.
Love that.
Yes, you can get a Christmas present as well from the Crazy Ant Media team.
That's right.
But again, thank you so much, and we'll be in touch with you soon.
Thank you so much, guys.
All right.
Take
Bye-bye.
care. All right, man. Oh, man. I just love every time we have a forever guest on.
Exactly. There's a reason she is that, because she is always amazing anytime that she comes on and talks to us, and she's always so fun and so humble and just like, she's good peeps.
She really is,
I
man.
mean, and
She really is.
yeah.
So everybody, be sure to go to Amazon Prime and watch Los Angeles right here, right now. Now that the interview's over, so we
And
appreciate
it's a great
you.
price. It's a
Exactly.
great price. I mean, you can do $2 to rent it. Come on now.
Exactly. Come on. Thank you again, forever guest Rebekah Kennedy, for coming on the show.